Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to one of my cocktail vlogs. I'm Steve the bartender and the festive season is closely approaching. So I've got 5 festive cocktails for you to make. The first 3 cocktails are incredibly easy. 3-4 ingredients, a little bit of Christmas spice in there. And then the last 2, they incorporate a batter into the mix. You've got a Tom and Jerry, you've got a hot buttered rum, warmer cocktails, great for winter. So if you're in a colder region, these cocktails are perfect for you. They do require a little bit more preparation, but that preparation ahead of time makes it easier so that you don't have to spend as much time in the kitchen or the bar to prepare drinks for your guests. So make sure you stick around, especially for this one, which is my second to last cocktail, which I absolutely love. Stay tuned. So the first of the festive 5 is going to be a PECAN SWIRL. This drink was found on punchdrink.com and the creator, Christine, the creator, said that if you want to, you can add a shot of espresso into this as well, which my coffee machine isn't set up at the moment, so I'm not going to add espresso, but I'm going to add cold drip, and it's going to give that nice texture. The photo that is on the Punch Drink website, I'm pretty sure they use espresso because it's really quite a dark drink. It's got that nice crema on top. I have actually tried making this without the coffee. It doesn't look great, so that's why I'm reshooting this. And I'm going to do it with the coffee. Let's get straight into it. This one's a cross between like a brandy Alexander and an espresso martini. So for those of you who like cognac espresso martinis, you're going to bloody love this. 1.5 ounces, 45 ml of cognac, your choice. I'm using Pierre Ferrand. And then follow that up with coffee liqueur of choice. Christine says she prefers to use Mr. Black, cold brew coffee liqueur. So 1 ounce, 30 ml. Add that straight into your tin. Follow that up with espresso, if you like. I'm using cold drip. Thanks to the crew at First Press. My wife drinks this literally half a bottle every single day. 1 ounce, 30 ml. So this is homemade pecan milk, really, really simple. 1 part pecan, which has been soaked in water for 12 to 24 hours. One part pecans. So it kind of softens the nut, makes it easier to extract the liquid and the flavor. 1 part pecans to 3 parts water to a small pinch of salt. Then give it a blend so it's nice and smooth, and then strain it through a cheesecloth. I'll leave that recipe in the description below. But 1 ounce, 30 ml, and add ice. Into a chilled coupe glass, double strain. I have strained the pecan nut milk through a cheesecloth, but I can see there's a little bit of texture to it, so I'll double strain it. Also, if you can't find pecan milk, use oat milk. To be honest, this looks marginally better than the one without the espresso, or in this case, cold drip. The texture on the top, the foam, the crema is nicer, it's more dense. Still not super thick, but better than it was before, a little bit. Garnish with some nutmeg. The PECAN SWIRL, cross between a brandy Alexander, espresso martini, and some nutmeg. Coffee, pecans, nutmeg, go really nicely together. This is just a real boozy iced coffee. I like it like this. It's strong with the coffee flavor, but at the same time, some people might like to add just a touch of sugar, like maybe a bar spoon, maybe 1/4 ounce. My wife's saying bump it up. She loves sweet stuff. Just a little bit of sugar, like a Demerara, simple syrup. Give it a shot. Worth trying. Festive cocktail number 2, Cynar Flip. Sounds delicious. Incredibly simple. I've seen a number of recipes out there. Some of them call for bitters, some of them call for a little touch of sugar. This just calls for more Cynar. It's literally a 2-ingredient drink, Cynar and whole egg. Flip, very similar to an eggnog, so therefore that's kind of where my mindset was in deciding that this was worthy of being a Christmas cocktail. But stay tuned for the upcoming drinks because they can become more Christmassy with more festive with different spices and cinnamon and clove and nutmeg and stuff like that. But I really wanted to try this 2-ingredient Cynar Flip out because it's 2 ingredients. I love simple drinks. I love great simple drinks. So, whole egg. Then we have 2.5 ounces, 75 ml of Cynar. I really feel like I'm forgetting something with just 2 ingredients. Oh, the ice. Now, typically, for some reason with sours, when I add egg white into it, I do dry shake, but with flips, I just add ice. I don't know if there's some kind of reasoning behind that, if other people do it, or it's just me. If you want to, you can dry shake beforehand. Otherwise, add ice and just shake the hell out of it. Chilled stemmed cocktail glass. I imagine this in like a nice vintage cocktail glass that you get from like a secondhand store, but thrift shop, I'm using a Cynar. Double strain. So the recipes that I saw, Tuxedo No. 2 website, on that website, it called for 2 ounces of Cynar, not 2.5, but a small touch of sugar. So I'm assuming by bumping up the Cynar, it also adds a little bit more sugar, so it should hopefully balance out, sweeten it with the richness of the egg yolk. But let's finish it first with a little bit of grated nutmeg. I'm feeling festive. Cheers. I like this. 2 ingredients, very simple. Because you don't have the added sugar in it, it's not as rich as flips that I've had in the past. It wants to be rich. It's sort of like the first sip, it feels like it's gonna be really rich, but then the dryness and the bitterness kind of balances it out and it sort of fades away. This is good. I like it. I can appreciate, again, a tiny touch of sugar, maybe. I'd have to try it side by side. Good flavors though, great drink. I'll be interested to hear your feedback in the comments below. Cocktail number 3, the maple old fashioned. Now, every single time I've made a maple old fashioned, I've always done a maple rum old fashioned. In the very minimal amount of research that I did on this cocktail, I discovered that potentially the person who first created it made a maple old fashioned with whiskey. Kind of makes sense, because whiskey is prevalent over in the States and Canada. Canada, where maple is mostly made from, or only comes from. Canadians, please let me know. I'm very uneducated when it comes to maple. We do not have a wide range of maple syrup, hence why I rebottled the maple syrup to make it look less cheap. Okay, on to the drink itself. I wanted to try it out with bourbon whiskey. Most people have it with rum, I believe, because it's just skewed towards that. Rum and maple go nicely together in an old fashioned, but yeah, I want to mix it up and try it with bourbon. So 60 ml, 2 ounces. I'm using Buffalo Trace. You can use whatever bourbon you like, whatever whiskey you like. 10 ml, 1/3 of an ounce of the highest quality maple syrup you can get your hands on. And 2 dashes of orange bitters. I'm using Peter Patrician's orange bitters. I will leave a link to his website or to his Instagram. He makes a range of bitters, ginger, celery, aromatic, orange, as far as I know, and they're excellent. Fantastic. So 2 dashes of orange bitters. Really nice orange flavor, bitter, touch of maybe clove in there, quite strong on the alcohol front. Good quality bitters, obviously orange forward because it's an orange bitters. Whatever he does to make this, does an excellent job. Plenty of ice, and then stir. Stir for 15 to 30 seconds. On average, I usually stir for maybe about 20. Some people may prefer to stir a little bit less, especially because this is being served on ice. Or to be safe, a little bit on your hand and give it a taste. You can strain it over the rock, or you can strain it into your glass and then put the rock in. It's whatever you prefer. That was embarrassing. Let's try again. That wasn't much better. Where's my peeler when I need it? That was better. Cut off a little bit of the pith, there wasn't too much there. Decent, roughly cut piece of orange. Better than my first 2 attempts though. A maple old fashioned with bourbon whiskey. I love the rustic yet clear ice. Looks great. Cheers. That's a delicious variation on an old fashioned. Simple, maple and orange, bourbon whiskey. Love it. Cocktail number 4, we're getting serious, we're getting super festive. It's the Tom and Jerry. I've never had one before because it seems a little bit overcomplicated by preparing a batter, but I'm sure if you want to go to the effort, you can prepare the batter ahead of time. You can make a huge batch of Tom & Jerry's relatively easy once you've got the batter done. So let's do it. First of all, I'm going to start off with some eggs. I'm going to separate the whites from the yolks. There we go. Do it like that third one. Okay, now that I've separated the eggs, I've cleaned up because of the mess I've made by my terrible egg separation. Footnote, I'm keeping my notes out because I just want to make sure I get this to a T. It sounds like a great drink. I'm really going to enjoy it. So first of all, I hope I'm going to enjoy it. 3 egg yolks and whites, set them aside. In a non-reactive bowl, whip the egg whites with a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartare. Egg whites, in they go. Of course, if you don't have a stand mixer, you can do this by hand, but this is going to make things a hell of a lot easier. 1/4 teaspoon, cream of tartare. Mix until soft peaks are formed. That took about 1.5 minutes. I'm assuming if you do this by hand, it's probably going to take you 15 to 20 minutes. Nice soft peaks have been formed. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a spatula into the studio, so I'm going to use a bar spoon, which is strong. It'll work. This looks really good. Nice soft peaks. Look at that. Ooh. Next step, egg yolks. 1 cup of sugar. It's a fair bit of sugar. 1/2 ounce of dark Jamaican rum. This is actually a blend of rums that I use for my Mai Tai video. 1/2 ounce doesn't seem like very much. I'm so tempted to add more. And a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Let's go a little bit more. This one, we just want it to combine. Sugar, egg yolks, rum, vanilla extract. So before someone has a dig at me for keeping the recipe in front of me, as I said before, I've never made this, so this is an experiment and I'm learning along with you. So the ingredients here have been combined. Egg yolk, sugar. So much sugar. Let's make sure it's all collected off the edges. So now I need to fold the yolks and sugar with the egg whites. I'm not much of a baker. We'll see how this goes. Very lightly fold. You want to keep the air in the mixture. There's a lot of sugar granules in that, but it's pretty tasty. We need to start by preparing our glass. I've got scalding hot water here. Add that in to warm the glass. Tom & Jerry's are traditionally served in this enamel white mug. I don't have one. I've got a black enamel mug, otherwise I've got a coffee cup. This will do. So into the preheated mug, your dark rum. The recipe does call for, doesn't say anything specific, just a dark rum. So I'm using my blend of rums, 1 ounce 30 ml. And same goes for the cognac. Same one as before, the Ferrand, 1 ounce 30 ml. 2 tablespoons of the batter. This is a dessert spoon, slightly smaller, so I'm just going to use heap spoons. Before anyone asks, how long does this keep for? I have no idea. I probably wouldn't keep it for too long. Not so much for the shelf life, but more so for the fluffiness. And I think once you put it in the fridge, the aeration that is contained in that meringue-like ingredient is probably going to dissipate a little bit. So keep it in the fridge for the short term, but you want to make this just before you have a gathering, before you have your festive parties. So heaped dessert spoon. Oh, look at that. That looks so good. Yeah, I'm going heavy. So two spoons, and then we have hot milk. If you want to, if you've got a coffee machine at home, you can probably steam your milk and do it that way. Otherwise, I think a lot of people, if you don't have a coffee machine, then you can just, well, I think you can. Like I said, this is an experiment. Add your hot milk to the glass, and your foam rises to the top. And then you want to garnish that with a sprinkling of a blend of spices. So this is 2 parts of freshly ground nutmeg, 1 part of ground clove, and 1 part of ground allspice. Of course, if you're stuck, if you don't have all these spices at home, hopefully you have nutmeg. If you're making a lot of cocktails at home, you should have nutmeg. And there you have it, Tom and Jerry. This cocktail I have been meaning to try for a very long time. It's been on my list. It's been that batter that's always held me back. But if it's that festive time, your people coming around, it's winter, it's cold. Less so in Australia because it's warm here. But I can understand you would probably want this if it's snowing outside. Oh. Oh. I said it recently, I made the Irish coffee video, which you can check out here. I said I don't really like hot cocktails, hot drinks, probably because I've never had any good ones. Irish coffee is now on my list, and now the Tom and Jerry. This is great. It's really, really intense. It's flavoursome. First of all, I'm using a blend of rums. There's like 4 different rums in this bottle. So it's funky, and there's an overproof rum in there as well. And you've got the cognac. Whole eggs provide that richness, especially a lot of flavor from the yolk. Got the sweetness from the sugar. And then you've got this like 3 different spices on the top of the drink itself. This is great. If you haven't had a Tom and Jerry before, please do. Please do. Hot buttered rum. So first you want to start by preheating your glass. I'm using this Libby Georgian glass. I'll leave a link in the description below with the product code because these are great for Irish coffees, which I did recently. You can check that out here. So, recipe. I'm doing a half batch because I really only need just the one cocktail. Half batch, I'm still using 250 grams of butter. I probably should have done a quarter batch. Hot buttered rums. Hopefully I like it. 250 grams of butter, unsalted. If you're unsure of that, that's roughly half a pound. Just Google it. 250 grams, so equal parts butter and brown sugar. Add that in. Then we follow that up with ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. And then mix to combine. I'm not a baker. I've enjoyed the first couple of cocktails. Speaking of that Tom and Jerry, it's pretty good. Damn. So I've scraped it off the sides because there was a lot up the edges, but this is definitely a very thick, very buttery, sugary batter compared to the last one. Oh, it's struggled to get started then. Start slow and then build up the pace. Baking 101. I mean, this would be relatively easy to do by hand. This one, you're just combining as opposed to the last one. How thick this batter is. It's sugar. The smell though, the spices coming off this, it's really good. So I've had hot buttered rum a couple of times, but it's just been like a single serve recipe where I haven't done batter. It's just like throw a little knob of butter in, a little bit of cracked ground spices. But this is probably going to incorporate 10 times better. Probably exactly like the Irish coffee. I never really had a good Irish coffee until last week when I actually made it properly. Go figure. So into a tempered glass. This one has been preheated and it calls for two tablespoons of batter. I'm going to do a heaped dessert spoon. That seems like a lot, but I tasted it. It's delicious. It's got the texture of like cookie dough almost. Look at that. Oh, I'm going for the rum. 52.5 mil, 1 3/4 ounces. This glass is probably way too small now that I've poured it into it. And then you want to add your boiling water, hot water into the glass. The glass is a bit small, definitely too small. This is exactly like the Tom and Jerry. This is the first time I've made it with a batter, so just bear with me. And for garnish, a cinnamon stick. Throw that in. So Yeti, if you do want to sponsor a video, if you want to do some maybe like picnic cocktails, I can go out camping and make some pre-batch cocktails in your Yeti, get in touch. I love the Yeti. You don't have to sponsor me, guys. I love Yetis. I use them all the time. Anywho, onto the drink, onto this festive cocktail number 5. Hot buttered rum. This is the first time, as I said, that I've actually made it with the batter as opposed to just doing like a single drink. And I have very high hopes. I was worried that the glass was going to be a little bit too small, but giving a quick stir, everything's combined. It's been a tempered glass, hot liquid. You can see the butter and everything has kind of like sat on the top, and it looks really good. Garnished with cinnamon stick. Hopefully this is like the Irish coffee. The first time I've had a good hot buttered rum. Fingers crossed. Certainly rummy, and by far the best hot buttered rum that I've had. I only had a couple. It's warming the belly, but that's because that rum blend has that overproof rum, and there's a lot of it. There's a small glass. Probably could do with a tiny bit more water in there. That's intense. It's rich, a little bit more water, or just not a strong rum, a less strong rum. But it's good. So if you're looking for festive cocktails, then there's plenty here. I highly recommend trying the Tom & Jerry. That was my favorite, which I've pretty much polished off. And if you're in a wintry area, if it's cold, Tom & Jerry all the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon for another cocktail video. Cheers.